Moses Show on Sports Radio, The Fan, 107.9 FM, 1560 AM, and anywhere you listen online and podcast. You can be a part of the conversation at 321-984-1234. Now, here's your host, Mark Moses.
Good afternoon and welcome. Welcome indeed, yes, to a Friday edition of the Mark Moses Show, only right here on Sports Radio 107.9 FM. 1560 AM and anywhere you listen online and podcast. Let's get right into it on a very busy Friday as we're getting ready for another great football weekend on the horizon. Now let's just start with this. Tell the Buccaneer fans out there, you like that? You like that? You like losing on Thursday Night Football in front of a national audience in overtime to Kirk bleeping Cousins? That was bad. Bad. You know, we've seen the Jaguars in this state be on Monday Night Football a couple weeks ago at Buffalo and get destroyed, where, remember, you had the Bills get the ball 5 straight times to start the game and score 5 touchdowns in a row for 35 points. I could do the math. Then you had the Dolphins this past Monday where they're at home against Tennessee, who's a terrible team, and you can't move the ball, you can't score, and it looks like the season's completely over. I thought that was the bar. I thought that's where we set it for just awfulness in this state. Oh, it appears not. No, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers said, hold my rum, from the standpoint of, all right, we're going to go to Atlanta. We have momentum. We just destroyed the Philadelphia Eagles. We're 3-1. We're in control of this division, and we should go there, and we should stomp on the Dirty Birds. We should dominate them. And you know what happened last night? You heard me say this yesterday to Anthony Knockreiner, who comes on all the time to talk Buccaneers football. I said, here's what's going to happen. Falcons are going to come out. They're going to score a touchdown. The crowd's going to be going crazy. They're going to be up 7-0. And then the Buccaneers are going to respond, and we're going to see how good of a football team they are. And that's exactly what happened to start the game. Falcons came out, they scored first. Buccaneers responded like that. Get the ball to Mike Evans and good things will happen. And that's what happened. And they were feeding Mike Evans the ball there in the first half. And you saw it at half. The Buccaneers had 24 points. They're leading at the half. And Baker Mayfield, their quarterback, he had 3 touchdown passes. He looked perfect. He looked great. You're like, okay, here we go. This is going to be a nice win. And I'm texting people to love the Buccaneers. All right, Bucs got this game. They should win by 25 points. This should be a statement where the Buccaneers, they go to 4-1. They'll have 10 days off. They'll be in cruise control, and they'll get ready for a stretch run where they can really start just eating up these W's and win the division and move on. It's a big moment for the franchise. No. There's just one problem. Kirk Cousins is the problem. He set a Atlanta Falcons franchise record last night, throwing for over 500 yards and 4 touchdowns, including the touchdown-winning play in overtime walk-off style to beat the Buccaneers. I'm going to say this. All offseason, since the Falcons got Kirk Cousins, nationally, the Falcons have been the darling for the media. From coast to coast, Falcons have Kirk Cousins. Now they can get the ball to all their different playmakers, Robinson, and just all these wide receivers they have, all of it. Kyle Pitts, Drake London. Yeah, they can get him the ball. Cousins is the man. He could throw over 4,000 yards. They're going to win this division. They're great. And the Buccaneers fans had to hear this nonstop all offseason, and they had to eat it. You're stupid. You're terrible. Atlanta's the team. They're going to be great. And remember, the Buccaneers, 4 straight playoff appearances, won a Super Bowl, 3 straight division titles going into this fall. And they had to hear it about the Falcons, how great they are. They're so much better than you. And this was your chance. This is your chance on national television, even though it was Amazon. This is your chance to punch them right in the throat, shut them up, and say, I'm sorry, no. You guys are frauds. We're the real team. We're going to move on. We're not going to think about you ever again. Well, you know what? You know what the Buccaneers did? They took their pistol and they shot themselves in the foot. That's what they did. It was such a golden opportunity for the Buccaneers to get it done. And they forgot to play defense. I don't know what the hell they're thinking. And it's all about situational football. And it's all about making plays at the right time. So think about this last night. We'll go back like it's Wayne's World. Here's what it was. Buccaneers are up 3 points. There's less than 2 minutes to go. Kirk Cousins is desperate. He throws the ball over the middle. Levante David, who is a superstar and should make the Hall of Fame one year, picks the ball off. You are thinking in that moment, if you're a Buccaneers fan, okay, here we go. This is going to be a situation where we're going to run out the clock. We're going to get the win. We're going to shut up the haters, and we're going to move on, be 4-1, and essentially a big win against Atlanta. The problem was Atlanta had 3 timeouts to work with. Under 2 minutes to go. It's the first thing. David picks off the ball. Everyone's celebrating. You know, the defense players go in the end zone, which I never agree with. I think it's stupid unless you score a touchdown. They're all celebrating. And it feels like Buccaneer Nation is doing the Steph Curry night, game over. Well, it didn't happen. Kirk Cousins got the ball back because I give all the credit to the Falcons, Raheem Morris, using those timeouts correctly. Getting enough time for Captain Kirk to make his comeback. So he got the ball back, Kirk Cousins, in case you're just waking up from a coma and you missed the game. And Cousins, he went down the field, made a play after play after play. And they got into field goal range, and they did it perfectly. 2-minute drill, got up there to the line of scrimmage, clocked it with 1 second, and they hit the field goal to go to overtime. And I said this to my coworker, Eric, this morning. The overtime walk-off touchdown pass, it kind of reminded me of the Tim Tebow overtime winner against the Pittsburgh Steelers in the wild card playoffs. Was that 11? It might have been. It kind of reminded me of that, where you're just like, what? Huh? Cousins goes back, just throws a pass over the middle. Falcons catch it, and the Buccaneers just go ole. All right, there you go. Just go to the end zone. We're done. We're good. And it was weird where he scores a touchdown, and I love the NFL, and I feel like I know football, but I'm still confused by the overtime rule from the standpoint of, all right, wait, do the Buccaneers get the ball now? No, walk off. Regular season, it's only 10 minutes with the quarter. Touchdown wins it. I think in the regular season, field goal, the other team gets the ball where they both get to touch it. Overtime playoffs, I believe this is true. I could be wrong. I think overtime in the playoffs, because of that crazy, it was a Kansas City Buffalo game from a couple years ago. I think in the playoffs, full 15-minute quarter, and it's even if you score a touchdown, the other team gets the ball. Everyone gets the ball in overtime because, you got to make it fair, but not last night. Falcons win. And you know what? I'm just going to say this right now. I know the Buccaneer fans are going to hate me for saying this. But you know what? That's a great moment for the Atlanta Falcons. Because honestly, when you look at that franchise, they've never gotten over 28-3. And if you're a sports fan in this country, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You don't even have to say the game. You don't even have to say the opponent they lost to. In all of sports, you go football, baseball, basketball, hockey. When you say 28-3, you know exactly what I'm talking about right away. The Atlanta Falcons, 28-3. I think that is their first actual positive moment for that franchise since the debacle of the Super Bowl loss to the New England Patriots, 28-3. I am not kidding around. That is a gigantic moment for them where finally, something went right and they won that game. And what it does for that franchise is, okay, we had some preseason hype. We started slow, and things started to click last night. And I get it. The Buccaneer fans are going to say, too many injuries on our defense, especially in the secondary. I get it. But you still lost. It's an L. You lost. Atlanta won. Now they have the momentum. Both teams are 3-2. They're going to meet again in a couple weeks there at Raymond James Stadium in Tampa. But right now, who has the momentum? Who has the bragging rights? Who won the game? The Atlanta Falcons, the Dirty Birds, Ludacris, all that stuff. They were doing the swag dance last night, the surf swag with Kirk Cousins. And yes, Kirk Cousins, who I know played for Washington, then Minnesota, and now ATL, Atlanta. He brought it out last night. He did. You like that. And you saw it was such a Disney movie type feel. He goes in the locker room. All his teammates are there. It's a big emotional win for the franchise. And he said it. You like that? That was a big win. Big win. I know Kirk Cousins hasn't really won anything in the playoffs, but you know what? When he retires, I think he's going to go to the Hall of Fame. I just think he is. He's played at a high level for so long. Since when? 2012? He's been in the league 12, 13 years now. I think when he retires, he's going to go to the Hall of Fame. That was a big win for the Falcons. Terrible loss for the Buccaneers. If you're going to them, and I know I'm just stockpiling here after a while, I think that is the worst loss for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And I know, look, they're 3-2. I still think they're going to make the playoffs. I think they're still a good football team. But if you go with some of the worst losses over the last decade or so, that is the worst loss for the Buccaneers since the divisional round playoff loss to the LA Rams there in Tampa a couple years ago, when they should have won that game. And if they would have gone back to the Super Bowl and won the Super Bowl. They would have beaten Cincinnati. I'm not kidding around. They would have won that game. But someone didn't cover Cooper Kupp down the field. He catches the ball, sets up for the game-winning field goal, and they win the game. I think it's that bad. I think the Buccaneers have won a lot of great football games over the last couple of years. Since 2020, they've been a great franchise. But last night, they were not. That was a terrible choke job. And honestly, you had 24 points at half. You're just going up and down the field, doing whatever you want. Second half, you only score 6 points. What's up with that? Where's that adjustment? It's just awful. And I like, I'm on Twitter and I follow a bunch of people that cover the Bucs, and stay tuned for our post-game show. I'm not listening to your post-game show. I'm going to bed. If you're a football fan and your team's in prime time and it goes till almost midnight, you're not staying up for post-game. You're like, that's it, I'm going to bed. If you win, I'm watching everything. I'm calling my dad. I'm calling my brother. I'm calling my buddy. I'm texting 10 other people at the same time. I'm watching the post-game on TV. I'm on my phone looking at Twitter. I'm listening to sports radio. All that stuff. We lose, I'm going straight to bed. Maybe looking at Instagram for a while at some ladies, and then I'm going to bed. That's literally what it's like. Going right to sleep. That was bad. Bad. Bad, bad, bad. I do not like that. Kirk Cousins, I know he does. I do not like that. You had that ending, and then also, I just want to give a shout-out. The New York Mets. That was a huge win last night. Huge win. I know we got a lot of Mets fans in this area. A lot. And me personally, hey, I go to Port St. Lucie every spring for spring training. I saw this team in February and March. I love going to Port St. Lucie to see the Mets play. That was a huge win. They were dead in the water. And then the ninth inning, they woke up like The Undertaker, and they took over that game. And they won it. And give credit. I'm going to give him a shout-out. Pete Alonso, who is from the Tampa area and was great for the Florida Gator baseball team. He hit the biggest hit of his career. 3-run job, opposite field. Mets take the lead 3-2. They added another insurance run. They get the 3 outs in the bottom of the ninth from their pitching staff. They win 4-2. They move on. Gigantic. So big shout out to Pete Alonso, former Florida Gator. Gigantic hit. Oh. And you know what? Gets me excited for the weekend. It really does. Should we do this real quick? All right. Here is my rundown, sponsored by Jersey Mike Subs here in Brevard County. Here's what we got for high school football. All right. Astronaut at Sebastian River. Melbourne at Bayside. Coco's got a big game tonight. I know my buddy Alan Slaughter-Zinski with Brevard Sports Network. He is calling this game. Miami, Norland at Coco. Halifax and MCC. Martin County, they're going to be hosting Palm Bay. Rockledge at Mandarin. Winter Springs at Space Coast. Titusville at Seminole. Spruce Creek, well, they're hosting Vieira. That's high school football for this evening. Tomorrow, college football. All right, Clemson, Florida State. I know the Noles are a 14-point dog at home. Good luck to the Noles. Miami, they're going to go west, 10:30 with the kickoff. Hurricanes at the California Bears. And yes, an ACC showdown for some reason. College game day is going to be there tomorrow morning. And then, this is very key. I'm getting in my car tomorrow, and I'm driving 95 to 520 to 528, then to what is it, the Turnpike, up to 75, and I'm going to Gainesville, Florida. I'm going to the Swamp because I'm going to this big game between the UCF Knights and the Florida Gators. And you can hear the game right here on The Fan, on our radio stations, old school style, and on our website at sportsradio1560.com. 4:30 with the pregame. Can't wait. Have not been to Gainesville since, I think 2020 is the last time I was there on campus. So that's going to be exciting. Bucs lost last night in the NFL. Dolphins at the Patriots. Colts at the Jaguars. Jaguars are going to try to get their first win of the season. That is your rundown for football, sponsored locally by Jersey Mike Subs. Also have baseball playoffs this weekend. That's right. I think the NBA, they're doing preseason games already in Dubai. Is that where it is? I didn't get an invite. Sorry. I apologize. I did not get it. So that's the latest. Here's what we're going to do. We'll go to break. We'll come back. Joining me next on the Miranda Homes Hotline from Atlanta, my good friend Luke Hendrick used to work in Orlando. He now covers the Falcons. We'll get his perspective being on the field for that epic, Buccaneers meltdown. We'll break it down next here on a Friday edition of my show.
This is Jim Rome with your Rome